Welcome back to the Taco Bell Race to World First recap video.
That's right.
Sponsored by Kalamazoo and Uber Eats.
That's very right. Yeah. What a race to world first we've had. I can't even seem to remember just 24 hours ago when you were talking about how they could find they're at 15%. They could find 5%, I could believe. They could find maybe another 10% with perfect optimization.
They could three-heal it.
They could three heels it.
No, they couldn't.
The wise words of Tettles. How do you feel now that the
I said that there's a 50% chance that it died today. I
looked like 100%. Actually, it technically died on Sunday though, so
yeah, whatever.
It did die on the next day.
I'm not going to lawyer you over that because it doesn't really matter.
It was 2 minutes past midnight. That was it was pretty cool.
I think so. Basically, let's kind of talk through what happened. Basically, the day started. Liquid was looking okay, but they weren't getting to the 5th Acolyte set or through the 5th Acolyte set with good consistency to the point where we thought that the boss was killable. And then about midday happened, and then they started getting through that 5th Acolyte set, and then it happened. It happened once. And I'm like, okay, that's not bad. 10%. Happened twice. Okay, another 10% wipe. All right, not bad. Happened a third time. Okay, 15% wipe. All right, you know what? Maybe this is doable. And then they had like one pull, and it was like 3.5%, and there was like a couple of people dead, and the boss was pretty high whenever they pushed, and we're like, okay, this boss is killable. And you want to pick it up from there?
Yep, and then so we saw that was like around 9 p.m. We started seeing the 3%er.
Yes.
That was a pull where it was like, okay, Buzz that here. Yeah, you want me to pull out the?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Keep talking.
Okay, yeah. And then we had a little bit. There were a couple of periods of regression today for Team Liquid. So there were a few times where it was. You can see here if you look at some of these spots, there are some spots like right here. This was around noon when we had a bunch of P1s back to back to back to back. That was pretty ugly. And then over here, right, you can see kind of bad consistency, no P3 for a little while. And then as they approach the kill, right, back to back to back to back P3. This area as well was very pivotal for progression too. Just a bunch of P3. And then yeah, they were able to get this boss dead. I think they could have killed it earlier today if it wasn't for like this area and this area where they had a couple of bad hours. But overall, this entire tier, Liquid have looked dominant. They have looked so unbelievably good on every single boss. Everything they needed to have happen to win the race did happen for them, and they just looked incredible, like incredibly well played the entire tier. The bosses were so hard.
I can't even tell, like, whenever we're looking at this, like, from like a POV where we're not affiliated with either Liquid or Echo, I can't tell if Liquid just played that dominant or Echo played bad or maybe both. Yeah. I can't even quantify it, but I do know that Liquid played their absolute asses off on Queen Ansurek and made insane progress to kill a boss that some people thought weren't killable.
Yeah, any foolish fools that thought that are probably feeling pretty stupid right about now, including you YouTube commenters. I read your messages calling me stupid for saying that they shouldn't nerf the boss.
You know what's funny?
What's funny?
They actually nerfed the Enrage and extended it for 5 more seconds as well coming into today.
Didn't matter. That boss died 15 seconds before that Enrage. That was incredible kill by old Team Liquid. The kill was just incredibly impressive as well. It turns out all the optimization largely came in the form of just doing P3 better as well. Mm-hmm. Doing P3 with less downtime, less lost damage, more efficient cleave. Infinite amounts of extra damage were available from that.
Yeah, I think that also they did phase 1. Like we kind of talked about
it was a great phase 1 as well.
Yeah, on their kill, their phase 1 was like 60.3%.
Yeah.
Typically they were like 62-ish, 61.5. But that 60.3, they high rolled their phase 1, and then they, like you said, like they leveraged a lot of that phase 3 damage optimization into a kill.
Yeah, us on the caster area there, where we were talking about like, oh my god, this P1 is so low, this must feel great. And then we had this interview with Max afterwards, and he was like, yeah, I didn't think about that at all. We could have killed that boss from 65% in P1. There was so much damage that we got in P3. I was watching back some of our low attempts, and there were melee that were literally walking for 60 yards around the boss, not hitting to do their jobs. And so we optimized that. We did that all right, and there was huge. We didn't need Chaos Brand, he said, to kill the boss, which I think was maybe a stretch. I think Chaos Brand may have helped a lot.
I wish we pulled up the clip of it before we started recording.
THD play.
THD made probably one of the best plays in a Race to World First kill I've ever seen.
I'll put a link in the description, so go check that out.
This guy gated 40 yards to get an essence that's like on the edge of the room. It's not supposed to be on the edge of the room. It's supposed to be in like
no, it's not.
And it's like on the edge of the room, and he just like barely saves the raid. And then Zasevi is like 15 yards away from him as well, also barely saves the raid from wiping to the essences exploding the ring. It was a miraculous kill. Like I don't think that we can say enough good things about how Liquid played this tier.
This was a race with the level of dominance similar to Echo on Jailer and
Limit and Nihilotha.
Complexity Limit Nihilotha.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the only races in recent memory since the televised race where I would describe it as being this this dominant by either team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do we really have anything else to say? I feel like this is just like a nice conclusion to the race for World.
It is. I mean, this has been a great race to watch. Hopefully the bosses get either appropriately nerfed automatically by gear and by the stacking buff, or Blizzard does some well-targeted nerfs to them because, of course, the Race to World First being very entertaining is great. Hopefully it's more fun for Mythic guilds than, say, this first week of bashing your head against Open Axe may have been. But I think that these bosses will get well nerfed by gear. Kaiveza, just the epitome of a boss that gets nerfed by gear. But honestly, the last boss as well, Queen Ansurek, will get way easier as you have more damage just killing the ads faster, you have more health, you're surviving things better, you no longer need to optimize your damage, you just need to survive to the end. That fight is going to be, I think it's going to be fun for just the average cutting edge guild.
I think that, I think it's like pretty reasonable to say that this might be the hardest Mythic boss like of all time, right?
Yeah, it's tough to compare across like eras of the game's history.
It is, if it's not the hardest, it is very close.
I think so as well. I think that, relative to its time, KJ was probably harder.
Unot
and the Jailer are up there. Halandris is you could maybe make an argument for.
This fight is absolutely nuclear.
Incredible.
The damage check in the last phase, typically you don't actually have to go up against that part of damage checks in the final phase, but this one was insane to the point where we didn't even know if it was doable, and Blizzard had a well-tuned boss.
Yeah.
I would argue probably still 5% too much health.
Maybe, yeah. I think it could have been tuned less well and been less tightly, and it would still been a great race.
Yes.
And it couldn't have been tuned much more tightly and still been a great race. Although they did kill it with 15 seconds to spare, so
maybe Blizzard was cooking with this.
Hold up, let them cook. I think that's the thing I'm most excited for. I'm excited for next Race to World First after this.
We were kind of right about the Melee Kingdom coming into the tier, by the way.
A lot of melee showing up for sure.
I think Dev Evoker's probably the one that we were the most surprised of.
That was the standout for me as well. Dev Evoker, Prez Evoker. Both just incredible.
I think that we suspected that they were going to run like one Prez, one Resto Shaman. They just ended up running 0 Resto Shaman and a second Prez Evoker. This is it, Kalamazzi. You want to do the final sign off?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want, man. You get the final words of our recap series. Ye.
Ye.
Ye indeed.
I look good. Damn.
All right, dude.